and just making sure that maybe they're not hungry, they're not tired, they're not feeling well, because a lot of factors can trigger behavior.
I think a big part is having those clear expectations set to begin with and reminding them of those expectations.
And I was gonna say, just building a relationship with the kiddo, like that's kind of number one thing we try to do as teachers is getting to know those students, letting them know that you care about them, that you're invested in them and what they're doing.
I've just found a lot of times students need to know do you mean what you say? Can I trust you? And that consequence is usually given after I've clarified, I've visited with them, I've ruled out other things.
A consequence is necessary is when it affects the learning of other students in the classroom.
We have to know that they're gonna push as far as it got to get to that consequence the next time. So if they got to push all the way to here before they got that consequence, guess what they're gonna do next time? They're gonna push all the way up to that line, and then they're not gonna do it. So we have to really know where our line is and stick to it.
Just as teaching tools for them to learn and help develop them into good humans. We're here to teach them, but we want them to be good, kind people that can go out into the world and be productive.
I even, with older students, I say, hey, you haven't had a bad day. You've had literally a bad 3 minutes. And how many minutes do we have left?
I would say you always want to, start with being kind and respectful. You want to talk to them the same way that you would hope anyone would talk to you.
You can say, we're going to have a conversation, wait a little bit. That way I can cool off and think, okay, what needs to happen? And it kind of gives them that wait time of, what's coming a little bit.
I think sometimes it goes back to trying to figure out okay, is it going to embarrass them if I talk to them at their desk, or will it embarrass them if I call them up?
Can you fix it on your own, or do you need me to help you fix it? And a lot of the times that'll fix it real quick because they're like, oh, you're right, let me fix it, I don't want you to step in. And so
you're just calm and kind of stating the facts. This is what happened, and because of this is what's now going to happen, and it's kind of here's the truth.
You have to find the reason behind that no. Why are they saying no? Is it to go against you, to be disrespectful? Is it because they're scared of what you're asking them to do?
Sometimes love looks like, I cannot allow this to happen. Sometimes love looks like we don't get our way.
Also, giving them choices. You can make the right choice, so you make the wrong choice, and then come back when you've made your choice, and then obviously work through that as they make the right one or the wrong one.
And give them their options. I'm sorry you don't feel like completing that right now. You can either complete it now, or you can complete it during recess or lunch, or whatever one of the consequences is going to be.
Give them 13, and then I'll say, you know what, y'all, let's just do 5. And it's yes, and I only wanted 5 to begin with, but nobody knows that. So all of a sudden, something that seemed like a lot, now it's well, yeah, I can do 5, sure. And
kind of going back to that no, if you don't do it now, then you can do it later, but you have to do it either way.
I think also praise too, when they do it, it's oh, I love how you did this. That's great, keep going. Let me see how you can do this better next time. So I think a lot of praise, especially with my little ones, they really like that. So
teaching them through that, because sometimes they come to school and they don't know how to be respectful to each other or to adults.
And I just remind them of, how I speak to you is how I expect you to speak to me.
Because a lot of times in kindergarten they'll say things and they don't really know what they're saying. And so we have to have a talk and just say do you really know what that means?
I try to, within the first week or so, I've probably gauged who my kid is that might be the first one that I'm going to have to call home about something bad, and that's going to be one of my first positive emails or phone calls to parents, because I want to make sure I'm having the positive contact with them before I'm ever having to have a conversation about, hey, today we had, this happen.
I always try to say, are you seeing the same things at home? And if you are, what are some things that you've tried at home that maybe didn't work or did work for you? Because I also want to know, is it my issue? Is it something with me that's happening within the classroom?
If it's something that's constant, make sure that you've talked to the parents about it beforehand, multiple times if you had to, before you get admin involved.
And then you're looping in your admin too, maybe before you're hey, I'm letting you know that we're kind of to the point where if this is going to keep happening, they're going to need to come visit with you, but kind of giving them some background knowledge, because sometimes they might have an idea too that you haven't tried yet, and they can give you that and you can try it before it gets to that point of going to admin. But
Sometimes you can even just schedule for them to come in your room, like, hey, I'm really struggling with this kid at this time. Can you come in and make it like a partnership? Like, can you come in and see if you see anything that maybe could help, like with what I'm doing? And so then they're already seeing that you're trying all this, and then they get to see the student. And sometimes they probably won't even do it because there's admin in there, but at least they know, like, they're on the same team.